Welcome to our lesson on getting started with the new version of Paws. Today we'll be discussing different ways to log into Paws, how to navigate through the global Paws options, how to navigate through the Paws class interface, and how to get help with the Paws system. The first thing any Paws user needs to do is to be able to log into the system. There are 3 ways to do so, and if any of these options don't seem to be working for you, then you have 2 more options to fall back on. The way most of you are probably most familiar with is getting to Paws through My Southwest. To do this, we first log into our My Southwest, and then click on Southwest Courses Paws in the Quick Launch area. Our next option is on the main Southwest page. Let me log out real quick and go to www.southwest.tn.edu. On this main page, if you look in the upper right, you'll see the Paws link here. If we click on this, it will bring us to the Paws Southwest login page. And we can just put our Southwest username and password in here and click login. And the third way is to just use the direct link. If we look here at the top, we can get to Paws by typing in https://elearn.southwest.tn.edu/d2l/login. Feel free to pause the video now and write this down if you need it at a later date. Or you can always come back and watch this again later. When we log in, this is the page that we will see. At the top of the page, we have a blue bar that is our global navigation bar. This lets you navigate to many areas of the Paws system. In the Paws help, it'll refer to it as the mini bar, so just be aware of that. Going from the left to right, the first item is the home link. This will allow you to return to the Paws home page at any time. The next option is allowing you to choose which class you want to view. As you can see, to the right there is a little push pin beside my class name. If I had more than one class, when I clicked on the push pin, it would move that class to the top of the list next time I opened the navigation list. If I pin multiple classes in a certain order, they will appear in that order the next time I open this selection menu. If I select one of these classes, it will bring me to the class's homepage. The next option alerts us as to whether we have any messages. If we had anything new, there would be a red dot above this icon. When we click on it, we see that I do have some that I haven't read yet. They are highlighted in blue. It also gives us the option to go to the pager, which is an instant messenger to the Paws email system. It hasn't been implemented yet, but it will be soon. The next option alerts us as to whether we have any updates. If we had any new updates, there would be a red dot above this option. Updates are usually having to do with news, due dates, etc. As you can see, I have some updates, and if I click on one, then it will take me to that page. The next option is the subscription alerts. As with the other 2 options, if I had any new subscription alerts, there would be a red dot above the icon. If you have subscribed to a discussion post or thread, you will get subscription alerts here if there are any changes to that message board item. The last option on the end shows my login name, and if I click on it, I have the option to update my profile, adjust my notification settings, see my progress, or log out. If I click on profile, it will give me fields that I can choose to fill out about myself, and it will fill in my profile. You can fill out as few or as many of these fields as you want. This will be information that other Paws users will be able to see that's personal about you. The second option is notification settings. If you click on this option, you can either enable or disable certain notifications. If you enable email notifications, you can choose whether to have these notifications come to your Paws email, or you can specify a personal email address you want these notifications to come to. If you want to enable mobile phone notifications, you can do so here by entering your mobile phone country, carrier, and mobile phone number, and clicking Save. They will then send a confirmation to your phone, and you can use that to finalize your phone notifications. You can also choose how often you want to receive notifications, and whether you want them to come to your email or whether you want them to be sent as SMS text messages to your phone. Before you choose to send them to your phone, be sure that your plan will not charge you extra for receiving large amounts of text messages. You can also exclude some courses from these notification settings. And when you're done, click on Save. The third option is Progress. It shows the progress you've made on this Paws course. This is usually what the professor sees when they are looking at your progress for the class. It tells you what items you've viewed, what your grades are, how much time you've spent reading and looking at particular items, etc. It tells you how much of the classwork you're doing and how long you're spending on it. You can navigate to different parts of the progress report by using the links on the left. The last option is to log out. You should always be sure to log out when you're finished with Paws, because if you just close the browser without logging out, the system will still think you're online for system recording purposes. Let's go back to how it looks when you first log in by going to the upper left and clicking on My Home. This will return you to the Paws home page. The news items on this page are very important because they're posted by the Paws system administrators, and they may have important information about the Paws system for you. Always be sure to look at these messages when you log in. Next, let's look at the contextual navigation bar in red. The options for this navigation bar change depending on what part of the Paws system you're in. From this page, the red bar has Resources, Student Services, and Help. As you can see, each one has a little arrow beside it, which shows that it can be expanded to show more options. If we click on Resources, we can see there are different resources available, such as Academic Calendar, Bookstore, Bookstore Making Online, Bookstore Union Online, Career Services, the Final Exam Schedule, the Library, Library Infinite YouTube Videos, which is where this video is from, Library Weekly Webinars, and Tutoring. On the tutoring, be aware that not all subjects are tutored online. You need to contact the Academic Support Center and see what resources are available. If we click on any of these links, it will bring us to a page that gives us more information. The next drop-down is titled Student Services. If we click on this, we see links to distance education, financial aid, the Southwest Help Desk, Student Disability Services, the Student Activities and Multicultural Affairs. If we click on any of these items, it will bring us to web pages that feature these student services. The last drop-down on the end is the Help drop-down. If we click on this, we see the options for FAQs, Student Help, and Southwest Help Desk. FAQ means frequently asked questions. If your instructor has any frequently asked questions they want you to have answers to, they can add them to this area. The second option is Student Help. If we click on this, we're taken to a new page called the Desire to Learn Resource Center. Be sure to click on the tab that says Learning Environment for help with the Desire to Learn learning environment, which is also Paws. This section has help about the features of the system. Beware, though, that Paws may not use all of the options here, such as the locker, which we don't use. The Southwest Help Desk link is designed to bring you in contact with the Southwest Help Desk. They're there to answer any technical questions and solve any problems with the Paws system not working correctly. Let's go back to our Paws homepage by clicking Home in the upper left. Now from here we can go to one of our classes and see some different options. We can do so by either clicking on the class selector at the top of the page, or by clicking on one of our classes in the My Courses box in the middle of the page. I'm going to click on LIBR 1010 in My Courses. This brings us to our class homepage. The first thing at the top of our class homepage is the class news. If you've read a news item and you don't want it to show up on the page anymore, just close it by clicking on the small X to the right of it. If you want to see all the news items, even the ones you've closed, click on Show All News Items. To the right, you can see quick links to the class content pages. There is also a link to go to our bookmark pages or our recently viewed pages. As you can see, each topic has an arrow beside it, which means it will expand to show more content. If we click on one of the content items, it will show us all the modules within the content area and any activities associated with the lesson. Let's click on the first one, How This Course Works. It brings us to the page with the lesson, How This Course Works. In the upper right, we can either bookmark or unbookmark this page for later viewing. We can open the page in a new browser window, or we can navigate to the next module or the previous module. The breadcrumb trail at the top shows us that we can either navigate back to the Getting Started content list, or we can go to the main table of contents page. If we scroll down the page, you can see that we can print this content. And a little further down the page, you can see the activity details, which showcase what you need to do to complete any class requirements for this content item. For this particular content item, we just had to view it, and as you can see, it has a check next to You have viewed this topic. Another way to navigate through your content is through the tab on the left. This tab appears as a small box with an arrow in it on the left side of the screen. To expand the box, click on the arrow. From here, you can navigate to any other content area in this module, or you can go back to the table of contents. Let's go back to our class home page by clicking on the class name beside My Home in the upper left. This brings us back to the class home page. As you can see, we have some new options on our red navigation bar and some of the same old options as well. The content option is another way to get to your class lessons. Don't be alarmed if you don't see all of the content for the entire class right now. Some professors only release a little bit of content at a time. From this page, you can go to the pages you have bookmarked. You can view any upcoming class events. It's very important to check your upcoming class events. When we click on it, we see if there are any events for today, tomorrow, or the next 7 days. This will let us know when our assignments are due and when quizzes and tests are scheduled. You can also see how many items you haven't yet viewed in each lesson. For example, in Getting Started it says 3. When I click on it, we see that I have check marks beside the modules that I have already viewed and blank dots beside the modules I have not yet viewed, and a progress bar that says that I am 50% done with the lesson. The second option we have in our red bar is communication. If we click on this category, we see that we have options for news, calendar, class list, discussions, chat, email, blog, and groups. These are all very useful, but one in particular I want to feature is the class list. If we click on class list, it shows us a list of everyone in the class. There are also options at the top to separate out instructors and students. From here you can send a message to any student or instructor associated with this class. There's also a page option, which means if you want to send them an instant message, but you can only do this with people who are currently online. To see who's currently online, scroll down the class list, and anyone with a green dot beside their name is currently online. Currently, I am the only student in this class that is online. The next category in our red options bar is assessment. If Click on this, we see all the assessment activities associated with this class, such as tests and quizzes. The next option is Course Tools, which are tools and resources provided by your instructor to help you with your classwork and readings. Things like glossaries, surveys, links, etc. Not every instructor will use every course tool. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask your instructor which tools they are using. And the last two options are resources and help, but they're the same as they were on the main page. Before we end our lesson, let's go over the key terms we learned. FAQ. FAQ means frequently asked questions. Today we learned different ways to log into Paws, how to navigate through the global Paws options, how to navigate through the Paws class interface, and how to get help with the Paws system. Future Paws videos will explain how to submit a Dropbox assignment, send an email in D2L, post on the discussion boards, take a quiz and check grades, get help through Ask a Librarian, assess the library orientation, and learn how to troubleshoot and use contacts. I hope you learned something, and as always, if you have any questions, please contact the Southwest Help Desk at 901-333-HELP, or you can contact me at fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu. Welcome to our lesson on submitting an assignment in Paws using the Dropbox feature. Today we'll be talking about how to use all the options of the Dropbox feature of Paws so you'll be able to get your assignments turned in correctly and on time. The first thing we need to do is to log into Paws. Now that we're in the system, let's go to the global navigation bar and select a class that has an assignment due. In the middle of the page we see Assessment. Click on that link, and in the drop-down box that appears, we see the Dropbox option. Click on Dropbox to open the Dropbox page for this class. Please note that this is only the Dropbox for this particular class. If you have assignments due in other classes, they will not be visible here. You have to navigate to those classes first to see their Dropboxes. As we can see, our assignments are laid out in grid format with the subheadings of folder, score, submissions, feedback, and due date. We will talk about each one of these in this lesson, but first let's discuss what we see here. You can see right under folder it says no category. Your instructor may put your assignments into different categories depending on certain criteria. For example, one category could be journal entries, and another could be chapter questions. This all depends on your instructor. Just be sure that you're aware of assignments in all the categories. But like I said, this class has no categories, so all the assignments will be in this single list. Starting from left and going right, the first item is the assignment folder. This tells you the name of the assignment, when it opens, which just means what time you're allowed to start on it. If the assignment due date is already passed, it will say closed, and it will show what date and time it was due. If the assignment is open and not past its due date, then the name of the assignment will be the only thing in the box, and it will be a blue link that you can click on. The second item is the score. Once you've turned your assignment in and it has been graded by your professor, then the score tells you your grade. The next item is submissions. This tells you how many times you've turned this assignment in. You might be saying to yourself, why would I ever turn it in more than once? Well, one example may be if you find out you answered a question wrong and need to make a change to your answers, there still may be time to turn in a revised copy, so you would turn the whole assignment in a second time. The next item is feedback. If your instructor has left feedback, then it will show up here as a dialog box with a View link beside it. I have feedback from my previous assignment submission, so I will click on View. This page shows me the files I've submitted for this assignment, my score, the date feedback was left, and at the bottom the actual feedback itself. My teacher thought I did a great job. If we click Done, it brings us back to our main Dropbox page. The last item is due date. This is when the assignments are due. Make sure you pay attention to these dates so you can get your assignments in on time. If we scroll to the bottom of the page, you can choose how many assignments you want to show up per page. As you can see, it's set to 20. If we had more than 20 assignments, then there will be options to go to a next page of assignments. I can change it to 10, and as you can see, there are now 2 pages of assignments. I can click on the arrow beside page to go to the next page, or I can use the drop down to choose which page I want to go to. Let's go back to page 1. If I click on this link, it will take me to the Submit Files page. On this page, it begins by telling me the name of the assignment folder. It then gives me instructions for the assignment. These are very important. Always read the instructions for the assignment. For this assignment, it tells me to open the file and follow the instructions in the assignment. Then save and upload the file to the Dropbox. The next item here is a link to the assignment file. When I click on it, I will either be asked where I want to save the file, or it may automatically download it to my default download location. I'm going to choose to save mine to the desktop and click Save. I can now open the file, and depending on where you open a file from, you may have to enable editing before you can actually type in the file. So be sure to click on the enable editing if that is required. I can now do my assignment. For the purposes of this example, I'll just type in some random information. And then, of course, click Save to save my work. The next thing that this page tells us is the start date and the end dates for our assignments. This tells us when the assignment became available to work on and when it will be due. The next item tells us what files we have attached to this folder that we want to submit. Currently, we have 0 files attached, but let's change that. I have the option to add a file or to record audio. For this example, I will add a file. When I click on Add a File, a dialog box comes up and it asks me to drop files here. Some internet browsers will allow you to drag and drop your files into this area. For example, I am using Google Chrome, and I can click on a file on my desktop and drag it into this window. As you can see, it now shows up in the window. But if you are using Internet Explorer 9 or higher, it may not work this way. The way that always works is to click on the Upload button. A file dialog box will appear. You can then browse for your file. Mine's on my desktop, so I click Desktop. And the one I want is assignment 1 lc.doc. I click on that, and then I click Open. As you can see, I now have 2 files in my files box. I don't need the first file, so I'll click on the X beside it to make it go away. If you accidentally put any files here you don't want to submit, you can click on the X beside them to get rid of them. Now that I have the file I want, I click on Add in the bottom left. Below my files, I can add a comment to this submission. This is just a message that we want to go with our file. I could say something like, "This is my assignment," or any details about the assignment that you want to share with your teacher. I'll put my answer to number 3 spilled over onto a second page. Just a detail about my assignment I think my professor needs to know. And when you're done with this and you have your file, be sure to click Submit. If you do not click Submit, then the file will not go to your teacher. You will now get a page with file upload results. If you uploaded your file successfully, it will say File Submission Successful. It will list all the basic assignment information, such as your username, the assignment folder, the instructions, any assignment files, the submitted file, any comments, the date you submitted, the file size, and whether an email was sent to you confirming your submission. From this page, you can click Done if you're done submitting files. You can view the submission history for this assignment, or you can upload more files. If you click on Done, you'll be taken back to the Dropbox main page. Let's click on View History. If I view the history, it shows that I have submitted 2 files. The unopened letter icon means that neither file has been seen by my professor yet. If I wanted to view the submission history of any other assignments, I can click on the down arrow beside the folder, and it will give me a list that has all of my assignments. I'll choose the meet and greet and click apply. I did not submit any files for this assignment, so it says no files have been submitted to this Dropbox folder. I could choose another one though that I did submit, the Librarian of Congress assignment, and click apply, and it will show me the files that I submitted for this assignment. From the breadcrumb trail at the top, I can see that I can go back to my folder list. I'll click on that and it will take us back to our main Dropbox page. If the submission went through, I can see that I have a new email alert at the top of the page. If I click on it, I see I have an email message in blue that has not been opened. That is my Dropbox submission receipt. Today we learned how to get to our class Dropbox page, how to view our assignments, and how to submit files. These are vital things to know in order to be able to participate in class and do your homework. As always, if you have any other questions, please contact the help desk at 901-333-4357. Or you can contact me at fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu. Welcome to our lesson on sending and receiving internal email in the Paws system. Today we'll be talking about how to send messages to and receive messages from your teachers and classmates in Paws. The first thing we need to do is get to our email. There are multiple ways to do this. When you log into Paws, you can check the global navigation bar at the top to see if you have any email notifications. Even if you don't have any notifications, you can still click on Email here to get to your email. A second way to get to your email is through the Communication menu. To do this, we first need to go to a class's home page by using the class selector on the global navigation bar. I'm going to go to LIBR 1010. We now see that communication is one of the options we have for this class. If we click on communication, we see that email is one of our choices. When we click on it, we will be taken to our email. If we have any unopened messages, we see that there is a number beside inbox. This is how many unopened messages we have in our inbox. So it says I have 5 messages in my inbox, but the inbox screen says there are no messages to display. What does this mean? As you recall, we came to email through the communication menu for one of our classes. This automatically sets our filter by to the class we just came from. I have no new messages from LIBR 1010. But if I change my filter, I will see messages from other classes or from all classes. Or I can just get it to set all messages, and it will show me the messages from all of my classes and the Paws system. I'm going to set my filter to all messages so I can see all of my messages. As we can see, I now have multiple messages visible in my inbox. The ones in bold with the icon of an unopened letter with a little sparkle on the side are unread, and the ones that are not in bold with an opened letter icon have already been read. If I click on one of the ones that is unread, it changes to red, and the number I have beside my inbox goes down from 5 to 4. This is just a test message. Let's look at another one I got from the Paws system. The actual message is shown below in the message preview. This message was from the Paws system. If I scroll down, I see the message subject as Dropbox submission receipt, and the actual message says, Student Z.F. Matthews, this email is to confirm that LC Classification has received your file submission. If I scroll back to the top, you can see to the right that I can print this message, and to the left I see that I can reply, which means send a message back to the person who sent this message, reply to all, which means send a message back to whoever sent this message and everyone else who received this message, forward, which means I can send a copy of this message to another person, and more actions. In more actions, I can mark this item as unread, which means it will change its icon back to the unopened letter and add to my inbox total. Change course offering association, which means when I filter my messages according to a certain class, I can have this message show up with that class's messages. And lastly, you can move it to the trash, which means you want to get rid of this message because you no longer need it. You can also flag this message with a colored flag so you'll be able to recognize it quickly and come back to it later. Just click on which color flag you want in the drop-down. Let's choose orange. To the far right of the message, you can see it now has an orange flag beside it. We also have the option to move this message to another folder. The options we have here are Inbox, Sent, Drafts, and Trash. Trash is just an email folder. Just like the inbox is a folder, all email folders are shown to the far left. Right now we're viewing all the messages in the inbox folder, but if we want to see what's in our other folders, we can just click on them. If we click on Sent Mail, it will send me to the Sent Mail folder. This shows me copies of messages I've sent to other people. If I click on the subject of one of them, it will give me a preview, just like it did when I was in the inbox. It also gives us the same options to manipulate the message. If you're not sure whether you sent an email to someone or want to remember exactly what you said in an email, this is a great place to find that type of information. Drafts is another folder. When we click on it, we see messages that we either saved as drafts or that we started but didn't finish and were automatically saved here. We'll talk more about drafts later. Another folder is the trash can. This is where you send messages you don't want anymore. While they're in the trash, you can still retrieve them if you change your mind and want them again, but once they're deleted from the trash can, they are gone. If you've noticed, there are some options at the top of each folder. 3 of them are in every folder: Compose, Refresh, and Folder Options. And the 4th one is unique to the trash can, which is Delete All. Compose is the one we need in order to send a message to someone else. If we click on Compose, then a new window opens where we can compose a message. In order to send a message, we have to have someone to send it to. In the To field, type in the email address of the Paws teacher or student you want to send your message to. But what if you don't know the email address of the person you want to send your message to? This is where the address book comes in handy. Click on the address book and it will open in a new window. If you scroll down the page, you can see that there are classmates and teachers in our address book. In order to see the classmates and teachers for a specific class, go to Filter By and choose which class the person you want to send the message to is associated with. I will choose Library 1010 just to make sure I'm seeing everyone from my class. For each person in the address book, it tells you their first and last name. It tells you their email address, tells you their role, whether they are a teacher or a student, and whether this is their outside email or their internal Paws email address. If we scroll down the page, we see there is more than one page of addresses for this class. If you don't see the person you're looking for on the first page, you can click on the arrow to go to the next page. I see many students on the page, but I don't see both of the teachers. Maybe the second one is on the second page. I will click on next page to see. Yes, she is. Well, let's say I want to send her a message. First thing I need to do is click the box beside her name, Vivian Stewart. Now I want to go up and click on To. And as you can see, it sent her email address to the To box. For any email, you need at least one email address to send it to minimum, but you can also send it to many people at once if you so desire. If you do want to send it to multiple people, you don't have to add them one at a time. Just click on the checkbox beside the names of all the people you want to send the message to, and then click To. I'll send it to Penny, Teresa, Tracy, then hit To. If I scroll through my To box, you can see that they were all added. When you're done looking people up, be sure to click Add Recipients to add their email addresses to your message. As you can see, I'm now sending my message to 4 people. The next thing I need is a subject. What is this message about? For example, I will put, when are we studying? And one convention that professors do like is if you add the name of the class to your message to let them know which class you're from. I will put LIBR 1010. Now that I have a To and a subject, I need the message. You type this in the body. Along the top are options for you to use to format your message, but in the interest of brevity, I will say that many of them are similar to ones you see in text editing programs like Word, and they'll usually help you make your message more readable. Please feel free to test them out all and see what they can do. I will now type my message in the body. I need to know when the study group is meeting on Wednesday this week. One very important feature I will go over that the email gives you is a spell check. It's always a good idea to spell check your messages. When I click on it, it says no misspelled words. Let's go back and misspell something. I'll change need to Ned. Now I click on spell check again. I had found I misspelled a word this time. This is similar to a spell checker you'd see in a word processing program. I can either ignore the misspelled word once or ignore all instances of it. Maybe I meant to say Ned. Maybe like it was the name Ned. But I didn't mean to say Ned, so our next option is to replace the word. In the drop-down, we see the recommendations of what we could replace it with. I meant to say need, so I will choose that one. Now I can either replace it once or replace it every time it occurred. I will just say replace once. That fixed all my words, and it now says no misspelled word. I can hit OK, and my message has been spell checked. On the bottom right, you can see priority. Usually you would leave this alone, but if your message is very important, you can click on the drop down and you can choose high for the priority, or if it's not very important, you can click on low. One last thing you may want to do is add an attachment to your message. You can see the attachments box is bounded by a dotted line. As we discussed in our last lesson, if you want to attach files in Paws, it often gives you the option to drag and drop files into this box, but they may not work with some internet browsers. Because I'm using Chrome, it will work if I drop a file into the box. like so. As you can see, it now shows up below the upload button. But the way that always works is to click on the upload button, and it will open our file open dialog box. I will choose my assignment that's saved on the desktop, and it is now in the list of files. If you want to remove any of these files, just click on the X beside the file name. One useful technique to use if you forget your flash drive is to save your work and then attach it to an email and send that email to yourself. Now we can either click send in the upper left and send this message, or we can click save as draft beside it. Save as draft saves this message in the drafts folder, and you can add more to it later before you actually send it. Let's just send our message. We are now back at our folder view. Another folder option is refresh. If you have been on your email page for a while, you may have gotten a new message that hasn't been shown yet. When you click on refresh, then any new messages that have come in recently will now show up on your inbox. Another option is folder management. When I click on it, it shows all my folders, and it allows me to create new folders. For example, I could create a folder for group work. I could now move all my group work to the group work message folder, and they would be easier to find. If you click on the arrows beside your folders, you can also edit or reorder them. The last folder option is delete all. If we go back to our message list, we can see this in the trash can folder. If we click it, it will say, all messages in this folder will be permanently deleted. Are you sure you want to continue? If I click OK, it will tell me your messages were successfully deleted, and there are now no messages. Be sure you won't need these messages before you delete everything in your trash can. One more thing we can look at are email settings. Settings are in the upper right with the little gear symbol beside it. When I click on it, I'm taken to the email settings page. In our email options, we can choose whether we want to track activity for messages sent to internal email addresses, include original message and email replies, or save a copy of each outgoing message to the sent mail folder. As you can see, 2 of them are already checked, so these things are done automatically. The next thing we can do is specify our email signature. This is what will appear at the bottom of all of our emails. People usually put their name and any contact information they have. I will put Zeb Matthews, Circulation Librarian, and my phone number, which is 901-333-5140. And lastly, our display options. We can choose whether we want to show the message preview pane, show the folder list pane, mark messages as read when viewed in the message preview pane, show internal email addresses in the address book, or allow filtering messages and contacts on group enrollment. And these are all checked by default, so these are all done by default. And when we're done changing any options, we click on Save. Another way to send an email is through the class list. Click on Communication here at the top, and then click on Class List, the third one down. If you want to send a message to anyone in the class list from here, all you have to do is to click on their name and a compose window opens. When I click on the first name, the To field is already populated by the person's name who I clicked on and their email address. Let's close this. Now if I want to send a message to multiple people, then all I need to do is to click on the checkbox beside their names and then click email at the top. So say I wanted to email these 3 people. Then I click email, and as you can see, all their names are in the To field of this email. Today we learned how to check our Paws email and also how to send email from our Paws email to other people. We also talked about some of the email options and settings we can use to make our Paws email easier to use. As always, if you have any other questions, please contact the Southwest Help Desk at 901-333-4357. Or you can contact me at fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu. Welcome to our lesson on posting on and using the many features of discussion boards in Paws. Today we'll talk about how to create a new discussion thread, how to post on a discussion thread, how to reply to a thread, and how to subscribe to discussion topics, boards, and threads. As always, the first thing we need to do is log into Paws. Now that I have logged into Paws, we need to select which class we want to see discussion boards for. I will choose LIBR 1010 by using the class selector at the top of the page. Now that I am in my class, I will click on Communication in the middle left and then choose Discussions. Starting from the top, you can see that there is the discussion list and subscriptions. What we are seeing now is the discussion list. Below this we see the general information discussion board. There is a brief explanation of what is on this board below the title. If we wanted to hide this discussion board, we could click on Hide Topics for General Information. This minimizes this board, and if we have any other boards for this class, they're visible beneath. Let's click on Click to Show General Information again. If you click on a little down arrow beside it, you could also subscribe to this board. We'll talk about subscriptions in a minute. Each board has different topics within it. Below the topic title, there will be any time restrictions on when you can post in it, and a description of the topic. Beneath that are any special instructions for the topic from your instructor. To the right, you can see how many threads, how many posts, and when and who made the last post in this topic. To view a topic, either click on the topic name or click on the down arrow beside the topic and then choose the View Topic option. There's also the Subscribe option here. If you subscribe to this topic, a few things will happen. Since you're subscribing to the whole topic, you'll also be subscribing to all the threads within this topic. You will then get subscription alerts when anybody posts on any thread in this topic. And also, if we subscribe to a whole board, such as general information, we would subscribe to all the topics and posts within it. Let's subscribe to the Need Help, Ask an Instructor topic. This will let us know when anyone posts in this topic asking a question of the professor. When I click on the Subscribe option, a box comes up asking me about custom notifications. It will ask me for a notification method. There are three choices. Show notifications in the minibar only. The minibar is the blue bar at the top, and this means that notifications will only show up when you click on the subscription notifications icon at the top of the page. The second option is to send me an instant notification. This means you'll be sent an email whenever there is a new post in this topic. And the third option is to include in the summary of activity that you receive once a day. If you have not yet set up notifications, you'll get a message that says, before you can receive email notifications, you must add an email address on your notification settings. We can fix this by clicking on Add an Email Address in a new window. You may remember this if you watched my first video on getting started with Paws. The first option is to enable email notifications, and it will ask you for an email address. I'm going to put in my Southwest email, fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu, and then I'm going to click Save. And since Paws opened up a new window for us to do this in, we can just close it and we'll be back on our discussion board. Our changes don't show up yet, so let's cancel and try to subscribe again. This time we get no error message, and it just says at the bottom that messages will be sent to the email address you chose. I will now click on subscribe, and a small dialog box at the bottom of the page will say topic subscribe successful, and then fade away. Now when I click on the arrow, I see I have the option to unsubscribe, and I can just as easily unsubscribe by clicking on that option. If I click on it, I get a message that says, "Are you sure you want to stop following? Need help? Ask an instructor. You will no longer receive notifications about new posts in Need Help? Ask the instructor." Let's say no, because we do want to stay subscribed to this topic. Now let's click on the topic to see what's been posted within it. At the top of this new page, notice that the breadcrumb trail, this will allow us to go back to the discussion list if we want. On this page we see the topic title. If we are subscribed to it, there will be a blue star that says subscribed, and if not, there will be an outline of a star that says subscribe. Under this we see the description of the topic. Next we see the button to start a new thread. If we want to start a discussion within this topic, this is how we start one. Below this we see threads that have already been created within this topic. We could filter through them by unread or flagged. This would limit the list to threads that were either flagged or unread. If I click on unread, the list changes to no threads that match your filters. To get rid of a filter, just click the X beside the filter options. And now we see all of our threads again. On the far right, there are sort by options. This will reorder the threads on the page according to specific criteria. I can order them by oldest, newest, subject, etc. The next thing we see are the actual threads. For each thread, it tells us the title of the thread, who posted it, and when it was posted. If there is any part of the thread that you have not yet read, it will be highlighted in blue. There is also a subscribe option. Since I'm subscribed to this topic, I will also be subscribed to all the threads by default. I can unsubscribe to a thread and still be subscribed to the main topic. I will unsubscribe from test thread. Are you sure you want to stop following test thread? Yes. The next thing we see is the content of the thread. The first one only contained the word test, but if we look at the one below it, there was more of a message in that one. Under that, we see how many items within this thread we haven't read, how many replies this thread has, and how many times this thread has been viewed. If we click on the down arrow beside the thread name, we have the options to mark all posts as read, mark all posts as unread, flag the thread, or print the thread. When it says mark all posts as read or unread, it means all posts that are within this particular thread. Let's mark all posts as unread. A confirmation box comes up asking us if we are sure we want to mark all posts in this thread as unread. Let's say yes. As you can see, a little confirmation box shows up at the bottom of the page saying all posts marked as unread successful. As you can see, the topic now has a blue bar beside it denoting that it is unread. Well, let's flag a thread. When I click on the down arrow, then I click on flag thread, I get a message saying thread flagged successfully. As you can see, there is now a flag beside this thread. You could now filter your threads by flag and you would have something show up. Let's actually view a thread by clicking on it. I will click on assignment 1 because it says I have 3 unread messages within it that I want to see. At the top you can see this thread is called assignment 1, and the actual text of the thread says, I am confused how to complete this assignment. Can I have additional time? Below this is a button you can use to reply to this thread, and below that are some of the actual reply posts to this thread. It's the same as when you were sorting your threads. You can sort your posts by unread or flagged. Each post starts by stating the name of the person who posted it, and the down arrow beside the name will let you mark the post as unread, flag it, or print it. It also tells you when this post was posted, and under that it has the content of the post, and at the bottom you have the option to reply to this post. There are two ways to navigate through these discussion boards, topics, and threads. One way is to use the breadcrumb links at the top of the screen. From this screen I can go back to view the topic, to go back to the need help ask an instructor topic I was just in, or I can click on discussion lists to go back to the main discussion boards. Another way to navigate is the navigation tab that appears on the left hand side of the screen. Click on this tab to expand it. It's visible when you're either viewing a thread or viewing a topic. If we hover our mouse over it, we can see it allows us to jump to different discussion boards, and it lets us see how many unread posts we have on each board. If we click on one of the board titles that hasn't been expanded yet, it will expand it for us and show us all the topics on this board. It also tells us how many unread posts are on each topic. If we click on the topic, we're taken to its main page, such as online education. In the upper right, there are some more message board features. If we click on settings, we're taken to a settings page. We can turn on always show discussion list pane. This is the tab that only shows up when we moused over it before. If we choose this option, it will always be visible even when we haven't moused over it. And the second option is checked by default, include original post in reply. This always adds the original post in any reply that we make on a thread. If we're done and we made any changes, we can click save, or if we haven't made any changes, we can just hit cancel. There is also help besides settings. When I click on that, it'll bring up a help box with some instructions about discussions. And lastly, if we are in a topic, we can search this topic. Let's go to a topic. Let's go to the need help ask the instructor topic. And the search box is here in the upper right. If we type in a search term such as confused and hit enter, we see there is one result where someone mentioned the word confused. If we don't want to use this search anymore, we can click on the X beside it, and it will go back to showing us all of our results. Today we learned how to navigate the features of and post on the Paws discussion boards. As always, if you have any other questions, please contact the help desk at 901-333-4357, or you can contact me at fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu. Welcome to our lesson on taking quizzes and checking your grades in Paws. Today we'll talk about how and when to take quizzes, and how to check your grades and find the class average for assignments for your classes in Paws. As always, the first thing we need to do is to log into Paws. Once we've logged in, the next thing we need to do is select which class we need to take the quiz in. I will select LIBR 1010 from the class selector at the top of the page. Now that I'm in my course, I see assessment in the middle of the screen near the top. When I click on it, you can see two of the options are quizzes and grades. The first thing we're going to explore is how to take a quiz. Let's click on quizzes. On this page you can see that we have current quizzes and future quizzes. Current quizzes are quizzes that we can take right now, and future quizzes are ones that we cannot take yet. You'll see the dates for future quizzes are in the future. Let's try to take a future quiz to see what happens. we get a message that says quiz period not started, and we can't take the quiz. Let's use the breadcrumb trail at the top to go back to the quiz list. Aside from the date that we're allowed to take the quiz, there is also a down arrow beside each quiz. If I click on it, I see the options for submissions and reports. We'll talk about these later after we take our quiz. I'm going to click on the first quiz in current quizzes called Competency Assessment. This will take me to the main page for this quiz. Since this is a current quiz, this page looks much different than the page we saw when we clicked on a future quiz. The title of the quiz is at the top of the page, and underneath that we have our quiz details. You have current time, the current user, you. The quiz period, which tells you when you're allowed to take this quiz. Since this particular quiz closes on the 28th, and today is the 2/28, this is the last day that I can take this quiz. Next is the time allowed, which tells you how long you have to take the quiz. And the last detail is attempts. This means how many times you can attempt to take this quiz. If you're allowed multiple attempts, you can retake the test if you get a bad grade. You don't have to retake it, but you can if you want to try to get a better grade. I can see that I am allowed 2 attempts to take this quiz, and I have completed it 1 time so far. Underneath details there are quiz instructions. Always read the quiz instructions before you attempt the quiz. And at the bottom of the screen we see Start Quiz. When we are ready to start our quiz, we can click on Start Quiz. When I click on Start Quiz, I'll get a confirmation box that tells us that our quiz may take a few minutes to load. It also lets us know the timer will not begin until the setup process is finished. If you submit your responses after the time expires, your attempt will be recorded as a late submission. We can now click OK to start our quiz, or click Cancel if we do not wish to start our quiz now. I'm going to click OK to start my quiz. The quiz timer is in the top left. It counts down how much time we have left to take this quiz. Lower down on the left, it tells us how many questions we have, and we can click on the number of any question to jump to that question. Under the question number is a little disk icon with a green arrow on it. This is used to save your answer to a question. Let's look at question number 1. I can type in my answer here, or on number 2 I could click in the oval of the answer I want. But none of these responses are recorded until I save my answer. I can do that by either clicking on the Save button under the question for number 1, or I can click on the icon underneath the question number on the left with the disk and the green arrow, such as number 2. If I click on Save, I see that the disk icon goes from transparent to solid. If you change your answer to a question, always be sure to save that change to your answer before you hit Submit. The legend on the left under your questions shows you what a saved and an unsaved question look like. After you save a question, it tells you in the quiz status in the lower left. You don't have to save each question individually though, because at the very bottom of the quiz there is an option to Save All Responses, which will save all your responses at once. Just be aware you must save your answers before you finish the quiz, or your responses will not be recorded. I'm going to answer some questions quickly just for the purposes of this video. Notice as I answer each one, I save, and you can see on the left that the little icons are becoming solid where they were transparent for every question that I save. But when I'm done, I want to go to Submit Quiz. When I click on it, I get a warning that I have 7 unanswered questions. So if you were actually taking the test, you would want to go back and you could click on these links to get back to these questions. But for our example here, I'm just going to hit submit quiz, so we're going to submit anyway. Now I have a confirmation box. It says you are about to submit your quiz, after which you will not be able to return to the quiz. Are you sure you want to submit the quiz? So once you've submitted, you can't change any of your answers. This is what is turned in to your professor. If I am sure that I have answered all questions and I've saved my answers, I can click on Yes, Submit Quiz. Optionally, your professor may have the next screen auto-grade the quiz and show you the answers to what you got right and what you got wrong. Right answers have a green check beside them. Wrong answers have a red X, and the correct answer may be in blue. And questions you just didn't answer just have an arrow pointing towards the actual correct answer. At the bottom of the page, it shows your score for this attempt and your overall grade for this quiz so far. Again, this is optional, so your professor may not have this page for every quiz you take that shows at the end what you got wrong and what you got right. Some classes you might have to wait for the professor to grade your assignment before you get this information. When we're done looking at this, we can click Close in the lower left. We now see a page for quiz submissions for this quiz with our attempts, our score, and our overall grade. Not all quizzes are auto-graded, and you may have to wait for your professor to give you the final grade. To get back to my quiz list, I can click on the quiz list in the breadcrumb trail in the upper left. If we wanted to get back to the submissions page, we could click on the down arrow beside the quiz and click on Submissions. We now see on the right that I've used one of my attempts for this quiz. Where it did say 1 of 2, now it says 2 of 2. So I've used all 2 attempts, so I cannot take this quiz again. But I see on the right that my second quiz, sample quiz, I've done 0 of 5 times, so I still have 5 more attempts for this quiz. The next one's 0 of 3 attempts for that quiz, and so on. But those are the basics of our quizzes and how to take a quiz. But let's look at our grades. To do this, click on Assessment in the top middle here, and then click on Grades. We are now on our grades page. Anything in this course that is graded will appear on this page. There are different categories of items such as quizzes, assignments, and activities. These may look different depending on what categories your professor has chosen to put your grades in. Within each category are items, and to the right it tells you how much each item is worth and how many points you have gotten for completing this item so far. If you receive a letter grade, it will be to the right of this, and if you received any feedback, it will be to the right of that. For my Librarian of Congress item, I got 2 of 2 points. There was no letter grade for it, and it shows my feedback I got from the professor. Some of these items and categories have bar graphs beside them. If you click on one of these, it will show you the class average for this particular item. If I click on one, let's say I click on Discussions, it'll show me the class average and grade distribution, which shows how many people made a certain grade on an item. This particular item has not yet been graded, so it has a 0% for everyone. If you want to print your grades, you can do so with the print icon in the upper right-hand corner. Today we learned how to take a quiz and then look at our grades in Paws. As always, if you have any other questions, please contact the help desk at 901-333-4357. Or you can contact me at fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu. Welcome to our lesson on getting help in Paws. Today we'll talk about how to get help on a wide variety of topics within Paws by utilizing many different people and services that all provide help on different specialized topics. There are many ways to get help in Paws. You can get help from your instructor, help from librarians, help from webinars, help from the Academic Support Center, help from the Southwest Help Desk, and help from instructional videos such as this one. Let's talk about the different types of help you can get from each of these resources. For example, Ask a Librarian is a service provided by the Southwest Librarians and is intended for you if you have any questions about the library, its hours, location, amenities, how to book a study room and check out laptops and iPads, what software we have available on our computers, how to start your research on a topic, where to find resources on a topic such as books, ebooks, database articles, videos, journal articles, etc., using the physical and electronic resources the library has to offer, how to evaluate websites, how to cite your sources, and we can also point you toward resources on how to do many writing tasks such as write a paragraph, develop a thesis statement, write a research paper, etc. Your instructor is another great resource for information. If you have any questions about tests, quizzes, grades, due dates of assignments, questions about your textbook or software associated with your textbook, and generally any questions about the nuts and bolts of the class itself, these should be directed towards your instructor. And there are multiple ways you can contact your instructor, such as email or the Ask Your Instructor message board in discussions. Another great resource for help are the instructional videos and webinars provided by the library. The library YouTube channel has videos on Paws help as well as technology training and videos on how to use a wide variety of electronic resources that the library has to offer. And the webinars are short interactive online teaching sessions where we inform you on how to use a wide variety of library resources and other helpful services. If you need tutoring on a specific subject, then the Academic Support Center is a great resource to get you that one-on-one help that you need. But if you just need help with any computer problems or technical difficulties with Paws or Southwest Computers, then you can contact the Southwest Help Desk for help. Now you might be saying that's cool and all, but how do I actually access these helpful people and resources? Well, let's start out with Ask a Librarian. To get to this, the first thing we need to do is log into Paws. Ask a Librarian is just an email address within Paws, so anywhere we can get to Paws email, we can send a message to Ask a Librarian. One easy way is to first go to one of your classes. It doesn't matter which one. This will work with any class, so I'll just go to LIBR 1010. From here I can go to Communication and then Class List. On the class list you should see a Ask a Librarian near the top of the list in the A's section. From here you can just click on Ask a Librarian and a blank message addressed to Ask a Librarian will now come up for you to fill out and then just hit send. The class list is also a good place to send your instructor an email from. Let's close our Ask a Librarian message and look on the class list for our professor. One thing to note is that you can get the Ask a Librarian email from any class list and it'll be the same. But for a specific professor, you need to be in the class list of the class you need help with. Well, let's say I need help with LIBR 1010 because it's the class I'm in right now. If I scroll down the list and look at the role field, I can look for one that says Teacher. And once I have found one, here we are, all I have to do is click on their name and I can send them an email. Another way to contact your instructor is by posting in the Need Help Ask the Instructor message board. I'm going to close out this email address. And again, for this, we need to be in the class we need help with because each class has its own Need Help Ask the Instructor message board. I'm going to stick with the class I'm in, LIBR 1010, and click on Communication, and discussions. In the general information category, I see Need Help? Ask the Instructor. I can click on the title and go to the board, and I can click on Start a New Thread to ask my question. After I give it a subject, then I type my actual question in the body of it right here. Links to our next three items are all in the Resources menu. Let's click on Resources. As you can see, there is a link to the InfoNet Library YouTube videos, InfoNet Library weekly webinars, and tutoring. Let's briefly look at each one. When I click on Library InfoNet YouTube videos, it brings me to the library's YouTube channel. If you scroll down the page, you can see there are many videos, and at the top of the page, you see a little magnifying glass here. Will open a search box so you can search for specific subjects on this channel. Let's close that. When I click on Library Weekly Webinars, it's going to ask me to verify some preferences. I'm just going to say yes, okay. And now we get to a page that has the actual webinars on it. Each session/webinar is listed here by date of when they occur. If any of these topics seem interesting, you can register for them with nothing but your name and your email address. That's all you need. It's very simple. Just click on Register beside the one you're interested in. Just fill out this page really quickly, and that's it. Let's close this page. If you click on the tutoring link, it brings up the page for the Academic Support Center. From this page, you can learn about locations, hours, walk-in tutoring, online tutoring, etc. Let's close this page. Some additional help your professors may provide for you is in the FAQs. If we click on Help, we see FAQ. Not all professors provide a FAQ, but if they do, it will be here in FAQs. Let's click on it. Well, as you can see, this professor has provided some general information, frequently asked questions, and the answers to these questions. Another resource in the Help menu are the Basic Help videos. These are brief help videos on many Paws topics. If I click on it, then they'll open in a new window here. If I click on any of the items on the left, it will load in a format very similar to this video. But let's just close that for now. And like we went over in our first Getting Started video, you can click on Student Help, and the Desire to Learn help will open in a new window. Be sure you choose the Learning Environment tab on the top right. Let's close that. If Paws isn't working right, or you're having other computer problems, you can contact the Southwest Help Desk to assist you with these problems. If I click on the link here for the Southwest Help Desk, we can see that their contact information is here on this page. So if we need any help with our computers and technical difficulties, we can contact them here. Today we learned about how and when to use all the sources of help that are available from Paws. As always, if you have any other questions, please contact the Southwest Help Desk at 901-333-4357, or you can contact me at fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu. Welcome to our lesson on the online library orientation in Paws. Today we'll talk about how to get to and complete the online library orientation in the Paws system. The library online orientation goes over how to use all the resources that the library has to offer. It is very helpful for people who don't know much about the library or have forgotten how to get to some of the library's many resources. The first thing we need to do to get to this orientation is to log into Paws. Once we have logged in, we see on the right there is a blue box that is titled Tutorials and Online Orientation. This box is only on the Paws homepage. And in the items listed in this box, you can see that library orientation is one of them. At the top of the box, it says we can self-register for any of the items below. When I click on self-register, it brings me to a page with self-registering course offerings. The fourth one down is Library Online Orientation. In the enrollment status, it says not enrolled. To enroll in this course, click on the Library Orientation link. This link brought me to the course description page. At the bottom right, you can see a button to register. Let's click on that. It will then bring you to a registration form where you verify your name and your email address, and then click submit on the bottom right. I'm just going to put my Southwest email in here and then hit submit. We are now taken to a confirmation page that lists all of our registration information. If this information is not right, we can click on back on the left. But if it is right, we can click on finish on the lower right. I'm going to click on finish. We are now taken to a registration summary page. From here, we can go to the course offering Library and Orientation or register for another course. Let's click on Go to Course Offering Library Orientation. We are now taken to the home page for the Library Orientation course. This shows up like any other course in Paws. If I were to go to the top of the page and look at our course selector, I would see that Library Orientation is now one of our course options. In order to get to the content of the library orientation, you must click on the link in the Welcome section that says Library Online Orientation. When I click on this link, it opens in a new window. On the main orientation page, it lists all the subjects covered in the orientation. If you want to start from the beginning of the orientation, you can click on page 1. But if you want to skip to any part of the orientation, such as monitoring noise level, you could click on page 5, or you could click directly on monitoring noise level. Let's click on page 1 to start at the beginning. This is the beginning of the orientation. Each of the orientation pages has links to each other orientation page at the top of the page. And also on the right, if you mouse over Contents, this will give you the option to go to any other page in the orientation. In the middle of the page, it has our content, and at the bottom of the page are some navigation options. TOC stands for Table of Contents. If you want to go back to the Table of Contents, then click on this link. There are also links to return to the top of the page and go to the next page. Let's click on Next Page. Now I'm on page 2. After you read this page, you can click on Next Page to go to page 3, and then Next Page to go to page 4, and so on, until you get to the end of the orientation. I'm going to go to the top here and click on page 30, just so I can see what the end of the orientation looks like. On the last page, we have the end, and a link to a survey. When we are done with the orientation, we need to click on Click Here to start the survey. This is a very short 6-question survey about the library orientation, and it'll only take a few minutes. And that's it for the orientation. You can look at this orientation as many times as you want, and if you can't finish it now, you can come back to it later by going to the link in your Paws course and clicking on it again. Today we learned how to get to and how to complete the online library orientation in Paws. As always, if you have any questions, please contact the Southwest Help Desk at 901-333-4357, or you can contact me at fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu. Welcome to our lesson on Paws troubleshooting and frequently asked questions. Today we'll be talking about some of the most common troubleshooting problems and frequently asked questions about the Paws system. One frequent problem is that you cannot log into Paws. There are 3 ways to do so, and if any of these options don't seem to be working for you, then you have 2 more options to fall back on. The way you're probably most familiar with is getting to Paws through My Southwest. To do this, we first log into our My Southwest with our Southwest username and password. And then once we're inside of our My Southwest, we click on Paws Southwest Courses in the upper left here. And this should load our Paws page. Let's log out of this and try another option. If we go to www.southwest.tn.edu, from this page in the upper right, we can click on the link that says Paws. This will bring us to the Paws login page. And our third option is to just use the website URL www.elearn.southwest.tn.edu/d2l/login. And actually, you don't have to use the last part. You can just use elearn.southwest.tn.edu. Feel free to write this down so you can remember it for a later date, or you can make a bookmark in your browser so you can just get to it easily that way. When we log into Paws, we should always be sure to check and see if we have any notifications or alerts. We can find these on the global navigation bar at the top of the screen and to the right. The first alert tells us whether we have any messages. If I had anything new, there would be a red dot above this icon. When we click on it, we see that I have no new message alerts. It also gives us the option to go to our Paws email. The next option alerts us as to whether we have any update notifications. If we had any new updates, there would be a red dot above this option. As you can see, I do have a red dot above my notifications option. Updates usually have to do with news items, due dates, etc. And as you can see, I have 2 updates here. If I click on one, it will take me to a page that will tell me more information about this update. And the last notification is subscription alerts. If I had any new subscription alerts, as with the other 2, there will be a red dot above the icon. I don't have any, so no items found. If you have subscribed to a discussion post or a thread, you will get a subscription alert anytime there is any change to that message board item. Another problem students sometimes have is that when they log into Paws, they can't find their classes. On the left, as part of our global navigation bar, we have our class selector. If you need to get to any of your classes, you can do so from here. Just click the down arrow here, and it will show all the classes that you are currently enrolled in. And if you click on any of these classes, it will take you to the home page for that class. Alternatively, if we click on our Paws Home button here, on the Paws Home screen you can scroll down the page, and in My Courses it tells you all the courses that you are currently enrolled in, and you can click on any of these to go to that class's homepage, just the same as with the class selector. Your professors may also anticipate your questions and provide frequently asked questions area in their class. In order to see if they have a FAQ section, we first need to go to the class. I will go to the class selector at the top of the page and go to my LIBR 1010 class to see if the professor provided any FAQs for that class. Now that I'm on the class page, I can go to the Help drop down on the far right, click on that, And I can click on FAQ from the options provided here. If my professor has set up this option for my class, it will appear now. As we can see, there are some questions and answers here that my professor has left for us. Things such as, is a textbook required for this class? And the answer, no. And some more frequently asked questions that the professor thinks we need to know. Another problem students often have is with their computer or other computer-related issues. If we go back to the Help drop-down here on the far right, we can also see there's a link for the Southwest Help Desk. If we click on this, it takes us to the Southwest Help Desk info page. It gives us contact information for the help desk and also tells us the types of problems that they help you with, such as email accounts, password resets, login problems, browser problems, internet access, support for Microsoft application suites, etc. Well, let's close that page and now we'll be back at Paws. Well, now that's how to troubleshoot technical issues, but what if you have an issue with your classwork? In this case, you would need to ask your professor. One convenient way to ask your professor a question is to post on the Need Help Ask the Professor discussion board. To get to this discussion board, make sure you are first in the class that you have a problem with. I'm in LIBR 1010, so let's say I have a problem with this class. And then we go to Communication here at the top. Click on that. And in the options it gives you, click on Discussions. Need help? Ask the instructor should be one of the first discussion boards listed. Here I see it's the second one down, here in the middle of the page. If you need any help using this discussion board, please view the video that we have on how to use discussion boards. Alternatively, if you need help finding information on a certain topic or help with doing research for your assignments, you can ask a librarian. You can do this by sending an email to the Ask a Librarian email address. One of the easiest ways to do this is to click on the Communication link here at the top again, and then go to the class list. From the class list, Ask a Librarian should be near the top of the list in the A's section. Here I see it's the third one down. When you see it, click on the name, Ask a Librarian, and then Paws will open up a blank email that is addressed to Ask a Librarian. You can then ask us a question and we'll try to answer it as soon as we can. This video has covered some general frequently asked questions, but if you need more specific information, please look at the other 7 videos in the Paws update videos that we have on our library YouTube channel. You can get to the library YouTube channel by clicking on Resources here at the top of the page, and then clicking on Library InfoNet YouTube videos. Lastly, be sure to log out when you're done with Paws. This is important to do for the system so they don't think that you're still online. Also, if another person uses the same computer as you, you don't want them to be able to log into your account and have access to your Paws. Who knows what they'll do with it. So if we want to log out, we just go to the top where it says our username here, click on the down arrow, and then log out. Today we learned many troubleshooting solutions and answers to frequently asked Paws questions. As always, if you have any other questions, please contact the Southwest Help Desk at 901-333-4357, or you can contact me at fmatthews@southwest.tn.edu.